Elsie, I'm here to rescue you. You understand me? Why are you so grumpy?
Hi, this is the Professional Amateur Hour coming to you with another review. This week, Leo sent me Trafficking. And I know that's not what it says on the poster, but this is all IMDb has, and I can't really find anything else. So this movie is called Trafficking, and it is from 2023, and it is directed by Richard John Taylor, and stars Noel McKell, Cian Altman, and Lacey Bond, among others, of course. The story of this movie is about this hitman, and he is hired to go collect some money from this guy. However, there's another gang who also are trying to collect money, and they kind of like kidnap that person's daughter for, payment. And so this hitman, he must have a heart of gold, or at least have some type of tumor or something on his heart that makes it a little bit warmer. And so he decides to go rescue this woman, or I guess this child, and, get her away from the traffickers. And so it sets up this huge cat and mouse game where, they're running from the gangsters are trying to get them and that type of stuff. What will happen though? Well, you have to watch the movie and find out. Alright, so let's discuss this movie. Well, what works with it? I think I have to say I did enjoy kind of this cat and mouse game that they play throughout the whole thing. It's engaging enough that you follow along with it, and it's interesting to see how close they get sometimes, and if they miss them by 10 or 15 minutes, or if they're across the street from each other. And so all of that can be engaging to the audience member to see all of that stuff go through. So that is at least decent. I do think it has kind of a dark side to it where it does cut out action and then adds this like kind of cat and mouse situation. So it does have a downside, but at the same time, it's engaging enough for you to go through it. So that's pretty good. In addition, I enjoyed all of the characters. With the two main characters, the hitman and the child, their dynamic works fine. They're clearly trying to fulfill, missing parts in their lives. That's good. But with the criminals, I actually really enjoyed the criminals. I thought they were the funnest part. They're always like doing coke and then cussing at each other and trying to figure out what's going on. And they're, of course, not the brightest criminals. They even have a few lines about that in the thing. So I know it's not supposed to be, a fun movie about child trafficking, but I did enjoy the criminals. I thought they were the funnest aspect to see them bicker and that type of stuff. So yeah, the characters definitely work as well. And lastly, this movie does have an intensity about it because it's about, child trafficking. And so it's always kind of in the background where like this could happen at any moment. Of course, you don't want to see it happen, so you're always rooting for them. But it does just kind of up the stakes where, you really don't want to see it happen. So that's pretty good. Gets you involved, gets you to root for them. With the main character and his kind of intensity of his background as well. He's always kind of bits and pieces here about what he's done in the past. So that is also engaging as well. So yeah, just overall a fine movie to watch. And that brings me to what doesn't work with this film. Well, like I said, it's mostly that cat and mouse game of them trying to get away or get caught or whatever. So it does sacrifice the action. There's really not a lot of action in this one. They save a little bit for the end, but again, it's not that much. So if you are looking for an action thing, it's probably not going to be in this one. It's much more about the intensity of the situation and the characters and how engaging that kind of story is. So do keep that in mind. Furthermore, with this hitman character, the actor does a fine job. The character is fine. However, I would say his motivation is off. Throughout the whole movie, you kind of get the impression that he's only doing this because he's dying. He has like a tumor or something on it, and it must be on his heart because that's the only way he's doing this. So throughout the whole thing, you never really get the sense that he's doing it for, being a good person. He's doing it for himself because he's dying and trying to redeem himself. So it is fine motivation, just weak motivation in my opinion. As for rating, well, I'll give it the average score of 5. It's a fine movie if you're into, Lifetime movies or TLC movies. It should work kind of in that kind of category. And with that being said, I think that's all I wanted to say. So like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.